How's it going, everybody? This is the fifth and last episode on my new college application help series. In this video, we'll be talking about letters of recommendation as well as how truly important are interviews in the college admissions process. Right off the bat, securing really good letters of recommendation will be crucial in gaining admission into your top college, while interviews, not so much. I'll be providing tips on how to maximize your chances of admission by improving and getting really good letters of recommendation. If you haven't watched the previous videos, please make sure to check them out, as well as use the resources down below. There are several links such as scheduling a free 5 to 10 minute phone call with me to potentially schedule future college consulting services or just to chat. And you can also email me for free at arnold.setiadi@yale.edu. Alright, so when applying to the Ivy League, generally speaking, you will need 2 letters of recommendation from teachers that know you well, as well as 1 letter of recommendation from your school's guidance counselor. I believe that you have the opportunity to potentially send in more as supplemental materials, but I would honestly not recommend it at all. This information could be overload for admissions officers, and some admissions officers even explicitly disallow it. So try your best on focusing on quality more than quantity. Now for the guidance counselor recommendation, if you do not have a guidance counselor, reach out to a school administrator of some sort. But the guidance counselor recommendation is very, very important because they are the ones who objectively have information about the context of your school. When judging your application, admissions officers have to take into account the context of your application. This means they need to know more about your school's environment, your school's resources, the other students in your school. You want to make sure that they can properly communicate your school's background to the colleges that you're applying to. From Yale's website directly, it says, ask your school counselor or other school official who will be assisting you with your college applications to address any special circumstances in the counselor recommendation. You may also write about particular challenges in your personal statement or the additional information section of the application, but an explanation from your counselor or another school official is especially valuable. Remember that Yale's review process is holistic and contextual. If you believe there is important information the admissions committee should know when evaluating your application, please share that information with your counselors. I've been preaching this for years, but the admissions officers directly have said it. Context is important, and even though you can provide your own context personally through the additional information section, it is especially more valuable and credible if it comes from your counselor directly. This is why I recommend you send them a student brag sheet, which has all this information that you want to make sure that they include when writing your recommendation. Luckily, I have it as a resource down below, so if you're interested, click on the link down below as it has an example of the student brag sheets that I created, as well as a worksheet that you can personally use. Now we're going to transition into some of my own personal key takeaways, which includes talking about the letters of recommendation from teachers. The number 1 step, which might not be applicable to all of you, is to start early. Develop authentic relationships with your teachers. Of course, at the end of the day, you're supposed to respect them as adults, but there are really people who can be your friends, and if you're open-minded and if you engage them in conversation, if you attend after-school activities, and if you're just a part of the school environment in a natural way, you'll just be naturally engaging and talking to them anyway. Genuinely be interested in the teachers and try to ask them questions and learn about them, not only on an academic level. I was lucky enough because I was able to have some of the best and brightest teachers in my school, but they were also just such genuinely awesome and funny human beings, so I would develop authentic relationships with them early on. Number 2 is to choose the teachers who know you best throughout the years. You want people who are able to talk about your own personal experiences and that could provide detailed anecdotes about you as a student and as a person. So make sure that they know about you in an academic and personal sense, because once again, this provides a lot of credibility for admissions officers because they can see that, hey, you are not lying about your situation, you are actually curious and you're a good student and you have these interests and you are a cool person, more or less. Number 3 is consider choosing teachers who are in one of the main academic subjects or are teaching subjects that you are interested in pursuing. Citing directly from Yale's website, request recommendations from 2 teachers who have taught you in core academic subjects, such as English, foreign language, math, science, social studies, who know you well and who have seen you at your best. It is preferable but not required that recommendations come from teachers who have taught you during your junior or senior year of high school. Letters from these teachers are typically the most illuminating. This makes sense because they're able to see your most recent academic progress, and overall this just provides a lot more academic credibility to your name, because at the end of the day, the Ivy League is an academic institution. They want to make sure that you have the academics to back it up. I said academic way too many times. Number 4 is what I mentioned earlier, which is to send them student brag sheets. You want to make sure that you're giving them a nudge and reminding them of specific qualities and stories that you want to share with colleges. For example, since Yale really cares about intellectual curiosity, I made sure that I sent them information that talks about how I was intellectually curious as a student and as a person. Make sure that your teachers can mention this, elaborate on this, talk about this. This is really helpful, especially because teachers are very busy, not only with their own work and personal life, but during the college application process, they will be writing recommendations for a lot of people. So start early and provide this brag sheet to make it easier for them. Once again, you can access this down below or email me personally if this poses a financial burden for you. Now, the fifth tip is to be patient and kind and cooperative throughout the process, but also do not be afraid to send a little reminder here and there, especially if there's an incoming deadline. For example, guidance counselors serve hundreds of students, so make sure that you're being proactive about deadlines, you're being kind, you're being patient, you're sending out these student brag sheets to make the job easier for them. You should do a lot of the research and a lot of the work up front so that the process is a lot smoother. Now we're going to quickly talk about the topic of interviews, which isn't that important in your application process. The main reason I say this is because not everybody is going to get an interview, and not even for any specific reason. A lot of it just depends on the convenience and availability of alumni to interview you. For example, if an alumni has a time and if there are a lot of alumni in your area, then you'll most likely get an interview. However, if you do get the interview, my main tip is to treat it like a conversation. Genuinely be engaged with them and ask them questions about the university and their life that are not superficial. The interview gives the admissions officer another perspective to look at when evaluating your application. For example, during my interview, we actually went to a Starbucks and grabbed a coffee and chatted, and the first question he asked was, why did you choose this Starbucks specifically? And this led me to tell him that this Starbucks was close to the restaurant where my dad worked at and where I actually work at part-time. And that allowed us to spur a conversation about my family background, my low income history, just find natural ways to engage in conversation. All right, that's pretty much it for this video, but more than anything, I just wanted to communicate that there aren't really any secrets about the college admissions process. There's so many free videos like this and resources online, and also websites directly that state what they want. So don't overcomplicate it. More than anything, I just want to remind you to be proactive. You got this. I believe in you. Please let me know if you have any other questions or topics you want to talk about. Consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and clicking on the bell notification icon. But thank you so much. You truly mean the world to me, and best of luck during the college application process.